All right, all right, all right. Hey guys, number 2 in our series on must-have pistol skills. Covered in the first topic, systems. You should be developing systems that support the outcome. I talk about this stuff all the time, so that was number 1. Have a system that's going to get you to the goal. In that, define your goal. So, number 2, here's what it's going to be. Learn how and train how to press the trigger without disturbing the sights. I know that that sounds really basic, and the reason, just to go back a step as to why we're doing this series, is we get messages and emails constantly. Not to call anybody out, but I get dudes saying, hey, I've got to qualify at my sheriff's office or police department, and I can't get it done, and the guy at the range isn't giving me what I need. Or I get messages from you folks saying I'm having trouble with this or that. Shooting guns is not that hard, and you know what? I think there's a lot of dudes making money, passing stuff on that's really nothing more than an overcomplication of very simple mechanical processes, period. So let's break it down. What do I need to do to press the trigger without disturbing the sights? Well, don't move the sights. Let's think about that. We got our good master grip, also covered that in 1, high tight all the way around the gun. Never gonna tell you do it exactly as I'm doing it because all of our hands are different shapes, different sizes, guns are different, the amount of friction that we have, if we've got smooth skin or coarse skin or wet skin, is all gonna change things. Are we missing appendages? Is the flexibility of our hands different? But the one thing that we want to do, I say make a meat vise, a vise of meat. So you want to be wrapped around that gun as much as possible. Full size 92, let's grab, well, for the hell of it, because we've got it, my lovely little Beretta 85F here. So much smaller gun, but I've got a meat vise, right? So no, this video was not on grip, but I want to make sure that we've got that. So we've got that meat vise around the gun. How are we pressing that trigger straight to the rear? Well, for one, there's a lot of talk on finger placement. Another thing that we can't spend a lot of energy on because not everybody has an extra large hand. Not everybody is shooting a gun where this dimension is the same from here to here. Not everybody has the same grip strength. So dictating finger placement, you're assuming a lot of things about the geometry of a human hand. Here's what I say, put it in nice and deep, okay? Patrick McNamara, T-Max, he talks about a friend of his that was a champion shooter that says bury it. That gentleman said that he could, when the gun was fired, could push the mag release. That's how deep it was. Not telling you bury it, I'm telling you get it in there good and deep, and here's the thought process. Press straight back, straight back. While you're doing that, if it's a 10-pound trigger, don't apply 30 pounds of force. Again, we're just working on this single drill. Don't let your head get out in front and say, but Mick, in a defensive encounter, I'm not gonna be able to think about all of this. You're right, which is why we're gonna train it correctly with that system that we talked about in our previous episode of this, so that's built to a subconscious level, automaticity, right? So we've got that meat vise. Get a good sight picture, and you're just gonna work on pressing straight to the rear, straight to the rear, straight to the rear. We'll do it with a Glock. Straight to the rear. We're working on doing nothing, but moving the trigger finger and feeling that break. Straight back, straight back, straight back. It's not about slow or fast. It's about applying, pardon me, enough pressure to break the trigger and not much more. Because I think I see my sights, whack! What that's doing is imparting a lot of pressure through these fingers. Look at the grip frame. See that? See that? If I'm squeezing like that, that's what's causing you right-handed shooters to push low left. That's what's causing you left-handed shooters to push low right. We don't want that grip to impart torque or pressure as the trigger's being pulled. So full circle. If we are going to learn to press the trigger straight to the rear, it must be coupled with that good grip, which is why I started out with it. That grip needs to be consistent. That grip does not change in pressure as the trigger is being pulled. So think about this is locked out. Whatever pressure you're using to hold onto the gun, which I suggest is quite a bit of pressure, and as you begin to apply pressure to the trigger, the fingers of the non-dominant hand and these fingers are not tightening with the trigger finger. Again, that's why you get that push. Just so we can see it with some different guns. Pressure, 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 pressure. Use your eyes to see the sights. Keep them aligned with whatever you want them aligned with, and don't move the gun. If you notice, take your eyes off the gun and look down at your forearms, at these tendons and muscles here. As you are shooting, see if, I don't know if that'll come through or not, you'll see if these are tightening. I'll watch shooters on the line as they're shooting, as their trigger finger's being pressed. If I see this, I know that these fingers are flexing and tensing, which is gonna start pushing the muzzle offline. See that? As I'm squeezing. So, lesson number 2, work very hard, work with focus, work with intention to be able to press that trigger straight to the rear without disturbing the sights. Tell you what, a good double action revolver is one of the best things you can do to learn that. This lovely Smith & Wesson. Look at that. You learn how to do that with one of these, and it becomes super simple. I did a video with this gorgeous 22. It's a 10-shot 22 Smith & Wesson. I believe this is a model 619, I believe it is. 617, pardon me. It's a 617 22. You can go to the range all day long and work through that double. People say, well, oh, my grip's different. You're learning to control that trigger finger and not flex your hands. That was tip number 2. Guys, train with intention. If you are carrying guns out into the world to protect your life, the lives of others, or the people that you have a sworn duty, a sworn oath to protect, make sure that you are inputting the data that will output when you need it. My friend Aaron Cooper likes to say, train with intensity, train with purpose, because then you will not be found wanting when the time comes. Hopefully it never does. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Don't be a dickhead. Very successful businessman. Owned like a high-end alarm company, did alarms for like the rich and famous and really high-end security systems. It sounds like a movie. The story was, this guy secretly, every one of his customers, he would leave a back door into the house for him to defeat the alarm. And he would go in years later. He got off on this. He would go in years later, because if you did an alarm and then a week later the house got robbed, the cops are going to immediately come look at the alarm company employees, right? So years later, he would let himself in and take a painting, take a whatever. And that's how he got his rocks off, just stealing rich people's shit. One day he sets up on this house where he lets himself in, and he's taking whatever he's going to take. Maybe he makes a sandwich. I don't know, but this guy he was a millionaire. He had money. He would break into rich people's house and steal their shit, though. As he's there, he realizes that the homeowner who he thought had left was asleep on the couch. What do you think he did? What do you think he did? Doc, what do you think he did? What did he do? What do you think he did? Killed him? Well, not yet. He skinned him alive. The family comes home to him peeling the flesh off of their loved one. The investigators said, why did you do that? You know what he said? You wouldn't pass up an opportunity like that. That doesn't come along every day. That's a different type of human. That guy doesn't give a that you pointed a gun at him or told him to back off.